So joining us now, NewsNation political contributor Chris Hahn and Lauren Wright, associate research scholar in politics at Princeton University. I'm really excited for you both to be joining us tonight because I think it'll be quite lovely. So Chris, I do want to start with you. We had a fundraiser last weekend with the Biden team. We have a fundraiser this weekend with the Trump team, but we are seeing slightly different results. Do you care? Do you think that's important?
One, I do not believe that he will raise $43 million this weekend at Mar-a-Lago.
Okay.
I'll believe it when I see it. And whatever money he raises, half of it's going to go to his legal defense anyway. Another half is going to go to something else that's not campaign related. He's got money problems, and he will continue to have money problems. As for the polling, look, there are some good spots for Biden. There are some bad spots for Biden. What I do see is an economy that's improving, 15 million jobs created under Biden, millions of jobs lost under Trump. I think the message is going to start to change in this country over the next couple of months. And if we're still here having this conversation about bad poll numbers in October, well, then I'll worry about it. But today, not so much. And as for The Rock, I think this has more to do with the box office than the poll box.
Oh, okay. I do want to talk to that, but Lauren, I want to circle back because I am interested to get your take on the fundraising because these are big numbers. Just not. Yes, we'll see it if we do see the 43 million. But if we talk about the 26 from last weekend, to me that seems like crossing the finish line. It feels like we're drinking water out of a spigot here. These are big numbers. We're not October. We're not even into the summer yet. What are your take on some of these big donors?
That's right. There's a ton of energy here, including from the donor class. But I think Chris's assessment is very fair. You know, any fundraising that Donald Trump does will be seen in the context of, but how many millions of dollars in legal fees does he have? And that's a fair question, frankly, for his base that is contributing for Republican donors. And Democrats will definitely use that against him and are probably operatively smart to do so.
And I want, Chris, I do want to point out here, it says Democratic candidates have raised more money in support of the White House, more than their Republican counterparts in all election cycles since 2004. So that being said, it's not necessarily an indication of a potential W or a potential loss, but I do want to hear your take on how much money we are seeing right now. The energy of the election, are we going to see that drop? I mean, we still have quite a bit of time to go.
This is going to be a multi-billion-dollar election. Both parties are going to come out swinging. I could see the meeting at Trump, headquarters after the $26 million fundraiser Biden had last week. We need to do $43 million. That's exactly what happened in that moment. So he put out a press release saying he's going to raise $43 million tomorrow. But look, I don't think money is going to be the issue for these candidates. They're both going to have a lot of money. It's what they do with it that's going to matter. When elections are decided by 40,000 votes among 4 or 5 states, ground games matter. The Republicans have been shutting down their outreach offices. That should be a signal of alarm for Republicans. Democrats have been opening up outreach centers, working on their ground game. That is where this race will be won, especially in the swing states.
Okay, Lauren, I want you to respond to that, but also I do want to circle back on the endorsement with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because there was much to do about Taylor Swift and her perhaps promoting the presidency. You know, he is a big name, and the fact is he spoke very bluntly to Fox News about really his irritation with these woke policies. Do you think that there will be a ripple effect?
I'm not sure about the ripple effect, but I know one thing from my own research. The Rock is a big political force for himself. He's a very viable candidate, hypothetically, himself. He has huge name recognition, huge likability. People watch him. And I do think this is an indictment of Joe Biden because the same election is basically happening as 2020 with the same 2 candidates in 2024. And the fact that he's not endorsing the same candidate is very notable and very important, and I never underestimate the influence of celebrities in our political process. They know all the fundraisers. They've got that built in. They have a ton of resources, Elizabeth, so it's one of my favorite topics.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven unbiased coverage.